Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's been a little bit since we've done one of these sit downs, and figured we'd kind of start off the new year with a little bit of a conversation about um, what are your 2025 goals. You know, as far as the hobby's concerned. And we're not going to talk New Year's resolutions. I'm not talking about trying to quit smoking, lose weight, uh, all that nonsense. And if you're trying to do that stuff, great, good for you. I hope you crush it. This is strictly about the hobby, card collecting in general, not just NASCAR, but any sport. Really just want to dive right into, what are your goals? Do you set a goal or have a plan for how you're collecting, what you're collecting? Are you going after rainbows? Are you building sets? Are you collecting a specific team? Are you changing teams? Did your favorite team disappoint you like my Browns did this year again? Are you maybe more excited about collecting somebody else that you've never collected before, or a thing that you've never collected before? So just curious, and really just wanted to get you kind of the creative juices flowing for everybody as the year starts, and there's new releases coming out for every sport. There's been a lot of news and a lot of shift in the hobby in general. Not a big shift in NASCAR, or not any big news in the NASCAR card world per se, which I'll get to here in a minute. But in some of the other sports, it was released right at the beginning of the year that WWE is now licensed with Topps, and there's going to be Topps Chrome WWE at the end of the month. There's there's kind of a shift that's still in process happening with the NBA and NFL moving to Topps, and it sounds like that's going to continue to progress as 2025 moves along and then into 2026. So just kind of interested to see how some of those things play out, and what does that mean for, what's that mean for Panini? What's that mean for maybe some of the other players in the game like Leaf? So anyways, like I said, just kind of really just an overall check-in, talk about, what are you doing, or I realize you can't answer me right now, but in the comments, let me know what your goals are for this year, for 2025. Is it to just continue to build out your personal collection? Is it to maybe sell more cards? Is it to do more trading? I love trading personally. I would put that near the top of my to-do list as far as things that I would like to do more of in 2025 in the hobby is trading. I feel like it's a lost art a little bit, and there's so much money in the hobby, between buying boxes, buying singles, selling breaks. There's a lot of money that kind of floats around in the hobby, and so if you can trade within, especially the cards that you have and what somebody else has, and you don't have to include cash in the deal or very little, then I think that's an excellent path to continue to build out what you're trying to collect and what you're trying to accomplish, and it keeps some of that cash in your wallet a little bit better. So trading for me would be high on my list. Trading is difficult. Everybody wants to feel like they won in the trade. I don't know that you have to have winners and losers. I think it's what's best for both sides. In other people's eyes, they may deem that somebody did better than the other. But if both people, in my opinion, a good trade is when both people walk away happy. And that's all that really matters, So, like I said, trading would be very high on my list as far as things that I'd like to do more of in 2025. And then I think just sort of honing out what I'm collecting. If you know me and you've been following my journey for my personal stuff, I collect, specifically, I collect dirt racers in NASCAR, or guys that have some sort of affiliation with dirt racing specifically. There is one example, or one exception to that, really, maybe even two, but to name a few of the guys that I collect Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, all guys who either come from the dirt racing world or still play in the dirt racing world in one way or another. So those are guys that I collect personally in NASCAR. And then my wife's a big Denny Hamlin fan, so we collect Denny for my wife. He's not a dirt guy at all. I collect Ryan Blaney. Ryan specifically is not a dirt guy, but Ryan's dad, sprint car legend Dave Blaney. Ryan's family also owns Sharon Speedway right here in Ohio. So even though Ryan isn't necessarily a, quote, dirt guy, Ryan is from that world in one way or another. So I like to collect him for that reason. And then I do collect Dale Earnhardt Jr. autographs, but not. It's not a that's sort of just something that if one presents itself to me, I'll add it to the collection. But I'm not out there actively trying to add more Dale Earnhardt Jr. autographs to the collection per se. So I think we all have these little things within our collection, or maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. I can't imagine I'm the only one, but all these little rules within rules of how we're collecting, or exceptions to the rules, maybe. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But anyway, so, within my collection, my goals is I want to kind of hone in on maybe specifically in my NASCAR stuff, collecting more shorter print stuff. And I don't mean one-on-ones. One-on-ones are great, don't get me wrong. But just more shorter print stuff. Trying to hone that down into more, probably stuff that's numbered 25 or less, or 50 or less. Because for me, if you don't know, for me, storage is an issue. We live in a small house. Don't have a lot of room. I don't display stuff in my house. We have kids. We have dogs. I can't trust any of them. So I don't put cards out for people to see or to be displayed, because something's going to happen to some of them at some point, inevitably. So I am limited to the amount of space that I can store my cards in, and so for that reason, I have to keep my collection condensed. And so as I add new cards to my collection, I have to take something out of the collection and sell it or trade it, or whatever needs to happen to make room. So that's my kind of goal for my NASCAR collection, is to hone it in more on short print stuff, and whether that's numbered, I haven't set a number specifically, but maybe things that are numbered to 25 or less would be a good, at least, goal to shoot for me. And then the other things that I collect, like Ohio State football, it has to be an Ohio State uniform. If it's CJ Stroud and his Houston Texans uniform, it's not for me. That's just the way I collect, because I'm a Buckeye fan. I'm not a CJ Stroud fan as much as I'm a Buckeye fan. And I'm certainly not a Houston Texans fan. So for me, I collect Ohio State uniform stuff. I would like to continue to add more unique pieces to that collection, especially try to go back further, a few years back, maybe into the early 2000s, when we had, Troy Smith and Anthony Gonzalez and Ted Ginn Jr. and AJ Hawk and some of those guys back in the day. And try to kind of build out my Ohio State stuff a little bit more, But with the same plan, short print. I really, really like autographs a lot over most anything else, but short prints and autographs would be the goal. My Browns collection is, I find it more and more difficult to collect professional teams, and I've been collecting the Browns, and there's really only a couple of Browns players that I've continued to collect since I started to become a fan of the Browns. Really, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett, that's about it. There's such a high turnover in professional sports, and I realize most people don't look at it this way, but I don't want to collect Baker Mayfield Browns cards. Baker is gone. I was a fan of Baker, but he's gone. He's not a Brown. He's not going to retire a Brown, I don't think. So, you know what I mean? Like he was a spot in history, but I am looking more for the guys that have been Browns and are going to potentially stay Browns. Chubb is probably one of the most likely ones, especially with his injuries. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be able to go. And Myles Garrett has been open about his love for being a Brown. I don't know what this offseason is going to bring, if they're going to actually keep him around or if they're going to try to move him, because I don't think Myles wants to be part of another rebuild, which is what we're in. Again, we're always in a rebuild with the Browns, but here nor there. So I find collecting professional, especially with the Browns, incredibly challenging. So if cards present themselves to me that I could grab of guys, like I have, a nice Eric Metcalf autograph. Somebody like Bernie Kosar or something like that, I would be interested in those types of things. But I think I'm gonna really be cautious about what I do with the Browns or the Steelers for my wife, because my wife's a Steelers fan. The Steelers are a little bit easier for us and my wife, because the Steelers have a lot of fairly recent, really great players who have either retired or are getting ready to retire. Case in point, Cameron Hayward has been with the Steelers forever. He's a former Buckeye as well. He's going to retire a Steeler. He's not going to go play for another team. When he's done, he's going to be done. But she liked Hines Ward. She liked Troy Polamalu, Ben Roethlisberger, those types of guys that, were in an era where they played as a Steeler their whole career, basically. And so it's easy to collect those guys for her. But I'm on the struggle bus with the Browns. And then you have WWE stuff. For me, that's kind of the other little niche that I like to collect in. And I continue to buy cards or buy boxes or participate in little breaks here and there with WWE stuff, wrestling, and I really enjoy them. I've yet to find what I really like. As far as the wrestlers themselves, I was a huge fan of The Undertaker. He's really the only male wrestler that I feel compelled to maybe collect on any kind of level. And I basically don't have anything of his at this point. His autographs are incredibly expensive. So maybe one day I'll pick up an autograph of The Undertaker, and that'll just be the piece for him for the collection. So we'll see what happens down the road. But and then as far as the girls, I'm really drawn to two girls in WWE. I've always liked Bayley. Don't know why. Probably because she's easy on the eyes, or always has been. And I kind of liked how she went from one extreme to the other, and now she's kind of more back in the middle of things. Just a lot of appeal, and I like her character. And Alexa Bliss is the only other one that I really try to collect for myself. She's a Columbus girl. We see her and Ryan out doing things in downtown Columbus. So, it's just cool to have somebody from right up the road that's made it to her status, and so I like to collect her. And same thing as Bailey, she's easy on the eyes as well. So no bones about it. It's that certainly adds to the collectability. My daughter is getting into cards a little bit, and we collect specifically on it Ohio State women's basketball, which is getting ready to come out or is coming out within the next week or so. And then my daughter's also a little bit into WWE. She likes Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. She likes the girls with the glitzy, sparkly, bright, beautiful hair, almost princess-esque, but still sort of a bad, what. So those are the ones that we collect, and I think the only other goal that I can think of for me, aside from trying to just hone in on what it is that I want to collect from maybe more of a short print and maybe backing off of the Browns stuff, the only other goal I think I have for this year is I'd love to try to get my kids more interested in the hobby in one way or another. And if they're not interested, I'm not going to force it, obviously. I'm not a parent to force, it's not my style. I don't want to force anything on them. My daughter plays basketball. If she came to me tomorrow and said, Dad, I don't want to play basketball anymore, of course I'm going to make her finish the year, because we finish what we start. You made a commitment to your team. You're not going to quit. But if she said, I don't want to play basketball anymore, I would say that's fine. At the end of the season, you're done. You don't have to play next year. It is what it is. I'm not going to force anything on them. But I would love to share the hobby with both of my kids, my daughter and my son. My son's much younger, so it's going to take some time for him. But whether that's cards or whether we find something else that we can share hobby related, maybe collecting coins or whatever. But I would like to do something that I can be kind of engaged with them. Not that I'm not with them all the time, because we are together all the time. I work from home, and I pick them up from school, and we're here together all the time. So I love my kids, but I'd love to share in some kind of hobby with them, other than just playing games and going and doing things and all that other stuff. So I think that would probably be the other big thing on my list. So I'm curious what you guys think. Maybe that got some juices going for you for 2025 as far as what you want to do with your collection, and what you don't want to do with your collection. And like I said, for me, just like the Browns thing, I've just learned that it's very challenging for me to collect the Browns, and I don't enjoy getting cards of guys that are playing for a year and then they're gone, and I just don't like that. So I think that's part of why I enjoy NASCAR and WWE so much compared to the other sports. And golf, although I'm not collecting golf, golf would be another sport that would fall right into that same category, where longevity is very consistent with the athletes. You know what I mean? So you can count on them to be around for multiple years, usually, and it gives you something to lean on with your collecting. So I hope, like I said, I hope that gets some people's thought processes going. I hope that if you're a set builder, you continue building sets. It's a lost art. If you're a rainbow chaser, I hope you're continuing out there chasing those Prism and Select Rainbows and all the other stuff. If you're just an autograph chaser, I hope you find all the autographs you're looking for. If you're somebody that likes to grade cards, we didn't even touch on grading, but I hope that you continue that journey of sending in cards and grading and collecting that way. So just getting kind of your mind going about what do I want to do, and where was I with my collecting, where am I going, I think it's good to just try to think about those things a little bit, and maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. I don't know, but there's all kinds of other things to think about in the world. Thinking about your collecting and the hobby certainly will give you a little bit of respite from some of the other noise that's out there in the world for a little bit. So hopefully everybody has a great start to 2025. We'll try to do these a little more often, where we'll sit down and just kind of chat and just, you guys know me, just ramble for the most part. So I'll try to be a little bit more consistent with it in 2025. That's probably one of my other goals that I should have stated. But I hope everybody has a great start to the year. I hope you're enjoying 2025. I hope it's going to be the best year yet for you. And we'll see you on down the road.